Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. We going exploring. Today I'm gonna do an in-depth breakdown of my gear that I take with me whenever I go snorkeling. I'm gonna start things off with my backpack, my good old-fashioned Nike backpack, plenty of pockets, two side pockets for when I carry water with me. Easy peasy, gets the job done for me. Moving on to my gloves. There's a few reasons why you want a good pair of gloves if you're going to go diving, snorkeling, whatever you choose to call it. One, for protection actually. If you're doing a lot of exploring in freshwater, chances are, if you're doing like treasure hunting, if that's what you're focused on, you're probably going to find a lot of good fishing lures, which are really fun to find because, you know, a good tackle box can be expensive if you're into fishing. The thing is when you're like reaching down and grabbing a fishing lure, you don't want to get poked by the hook because, trust me, getting poked by a fishing hook would not be fun. It also goes for like if you are picking up trash and you find like a beer bottle that's shattered, obviously an extra layer of protection so you don't get cut by the glass. And also, you know, water can be cold, and you want a little extra layer of warmth for your hands. These are the best way to go. Moving on to my mask. This is my pretty standard scuba mask. The snorkel just clips off pretty easily. There's nothing really too crazy about it. It's just easy to use. Doesn't really fog all that easily, which I like. And got it for a pretty good price online. So this one I would suggest if you're a beginner. The brand is way cool. Moving on to my dive knife. Now this one I've gotten questions about many a times. You know, typically when you go snorkeling or scuba diving, anything that involves underwater, you don't normally think about taking a knife, but it's actually a pretty useful tool. So I like to remove fishing line from the water whenever I see it. It can be a danger to not only people, but also, of course, animals. So this is the easiest way to get rid of it. I just like to find the source, cut it there, and then I'll follow the line and then cut it from there as well, and then remove it from the water as soon as possible. And what's really cool about this one is the holster is actually made out of plastic and not metal, so it's not going to weigh you down. You can strap this to your arm or to your leg. I personally prefer to strap it to my leg because I can just reach down and grab it with my right hand, my dominant hand. And all you have to do to remove it is to just push the button down and take it out. What's cool is you got a smooth edge that you're going to use most of the time for cutting things, but you also get a serrated edge. And as a little bonus, you might get to be able to use this as a bottle opener when you're done to celebrate. Who knows? But when you go to click it back in, as soon as you hear that click, you have to worry about it falling out as long as you don't push the button or as long as nothing hits the button. Just make sure you don't fumble it like I have a couple of times. I have to go back looking for it. Oh, and last thing. So you can also use this in an instance. Now, keep in mind, wild animals are wild animals. But, you know, if I were to say, like, you know, if I'm swimming around and I come across, like, let's just say, you know, a bird or a seal, if there's something attached to them, maybe around their neck, which sadly sometimes happens, you know, sometimes sea creatures can get rope or plastic, things like that, wrapped around their fins or their neck or anything like that. If the animal were to allow me to, then maybe I can jump in and help it out by cutting the rope off of it. So that opportunity has not presented itself yet, but maybe sometime in the future. We'll see. Moving on, I'm going to do a bit of a combo here. This is my dive belt. Nothing really too fancy about it. The buckle's made out of plastic, which makes it really lightweight. You know, I don't feel bogged down at all. I attached a couple of carabiners. This is a spare one just in case I were to lose one or whatever. I have another carabiner attached to this this plastic-lined bag that I have. It's mesh on the outside, plastic on the inside, which I really like because I can kind of see what's in it and it doesn't, like a fishing hook wouldn't get caught on the mesh or anything like that as easily. And it's also really small, so it doesn't really get in my way when I'm out swimming around. Next would be my shoes, which, as you can see, they've been loved quite well. These ones I really like because they're lightweight, and they have a good grip on the bottom, and they're really flexible, so I don't really have to worry. It's not too much of a stress to put them on or take them off even when they're wet. And you know, even when I surface, I don't feel bogged down at all. It's almost like walking barefoot. So if you're going to get a pair of water shoes, yes, they might get beat up easily if you get ones that are lighter, but you don't really feel bogged down at all. Next, I have two different types of bags. I'll start with the plastic one. It's always good to have plastic bags if you're going to be taking out a lot of trash, because when you go to dump the trash, you can just dump the trash into the trash can, and then usually there's a recycling bin next to it, and you can just toss the bag in there afterwards, and you don't have to worry about hauling it out. The bag I use for treasure, for the most part, is like this kind of mesh style kind of bag. I also have one that's a little bit more woven, because you know, depending on what I'm transporting, you don't want things to like get caught in the mesh. Like, again, another one is like a fish hook or glass. It can be kind of a pain when those things get caught. You kind of have to wriggle it out or whatever. So if I'm going to be using more sharp objects, I'm going to use the one that's not a mesh style. For anything else, I'll use the mesh style, because at least that way it can breathe and dry out easier as well. Last but not least, I'm going to move on to some of my GoPro gear. This is my holster. I don't take my GoPro anywhere without this thing. I get strapped to my head or hold it by hand. I can even like kind of use it as a little bit of an extension, since I prefer not to take a stick. It's just one of the things that would kind of like weigh me down in the end. You know what I mean? So last but not least, you can't see it in this video because I'm using it to record, but my GoPro Hero 5. I like it because I don't have to have any extra equipment for it. To take it underwater. It's already waterproof as it is. Coming up, I would like to add like a depth gauge to my arsenal, because I want to be able to make sure like I accurately gauge how deep I am, because otherwise I'm just kind of doing some guesswork. So that's kind of it for now. I mean, it's basic, it's lightweight, it's easy to transport, and there's nothing really all that fancy about it. Obviously, if you want to conquer more terrain, you may have to get more equipment. But for what I'm capable of doing right now, this works for me. So that's going to do it for today, guys. I thought some of y'all might enjoy a little bit of a gear breakdown, a little bit more of an analysis, of whatever you want to call it, of what goes into some of my diving adventures. I hope y'all enjoyed. And if you like what I'm doing, please make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Have a great day, y'all. Cheers. See you next time.